For centuries, one question haunted the ancient world. How could one city, built beside a small river in Italy, conquer lands stretching from the misty forests of Britain to the burning deserts of Egypt? How did Rome defeat kingdoms that were larger, richer, and sometimes far more populated than itself? The answer wasn't luck, it wasn't magic, and it wasn't simply because Rome had brave soldiers. The true secret lay inside the most disciplined military machine the ancient world had ever seen: the Roman army. Its soldiers marched farther than anyone else. They built roads where none existed. They constructed forts in a single night. They fought with machine-like precision, and when they lost battles, they learned from them instead of giving up. The Roman army didn't just win wars, it changed history forever. Today, we'll uncover the secrets that made Rome nearly unstoppable. Imagine standing on a hill nearly 2,000 years ago. Below you stretches a vast battlefield. Dust rises into the air as thousands of armored soldiers move together. No shouting, no panic, no confusion, only the synchronized sound of boots striking the ground. Step, step, step. Every soldier knows exactly where to stand. Every officer knows exactly what to do. Every command travels through the ranks like a wave. This wasn't chaos, it was discipline perfected over centuries. To Rome's enemies, watching the Roman legions advance was like watching an enormous steel wall slowly moving toward them, and once that wall reached you, escape was almost impossible. Unlike many ancient kingdoms, Rome didn't depend on temporary warriors who only fought during emergencies. Many civilizations called farmers into battle whenever war broke out. After the fighting ended, those men simply returned home. Rome chose a completely different path. It created professional soldiers. Serving in the army became a full-time career. A Roman legionary dedicated years, sometimes decades, of his life to military service. This meant that every soldier became highly experienced. They trained constantly. They learned discipline. They mastered formation fighting. They understood engineering, and they became experts at surviving in the harshest conditions imaginable. Rome wasn't just creating soldiers, it was building professionals. Joining the Roman army wasn't easy. New recruits faced strict physical standards. They needed strength, endurance, and excellent health, but physical power alone wasn't enough. Roman commanders believed something even more important separated a great soldier from an ordinary man: discipline. A recruit had to obey every order without hesitation. Questioning commands during battle could destroy an entire formation. One man's mistake could cost hundreds of lives. That is why discipline became sacred. Every recruit understood this from the very beginning. Rome could replace weapons, it could replace armor, but it could never replace discipline. Training was brutal. Modern military boot camps often last only a few months. Roman soldiers trained almost every single day throughout their careers, even during times of peace, especially during times of peace, because Roman generals believed something simple: the more a soldier suffered in training, the less he would suffer in war. Recruits marched enormous distances carrying heavy equipment. Sometimes they walked more than 30 kilometers in a single day. Their armor, their shield, their sword, food, camping equipment, tools for digging, everything rested on their backs. The load could weigh over 40 kilograms. By the end of a long march, every muscle burned with pain. But tomorrow, they would do it again. Roman instructors made training even harder than actual combat. Wooden swords replaced real ones, but these practice weapons were much heavier. Wooden shields were also larger and heavier than battlefield equipment. If a soldier could fight efficiently with heavier practice gear, then using real weapons during battle felt surprisingly easy. It was a simple trick, but an incredibly effective one. The Romans understood something modern athletes still practice today: train harder than the real challenge. Then the real challenge feels easier. Sword fighting required endless repetition. Every movement had to become instinct. Roman soldiers practiced attacking wooden posts planted firmly into the ground. Hour after hour, day after day, they learned exactly where to strike. Not wild swings, not dramatic attacks. Instead, they focused on quick thrusts aimed at the enemy's stomach, chest, or neck. Roman commanders knew something experience had taught them: a stab usually killed faster than a slash. It also left the soldier less exposed. Every movement had a purpose. Nothing was wasted. But fighting skill alone wasn't enough. A single Roman soldier wasn't expected to become a legendary hero. The Roman army didn't rely on individual champions. Its greatest weapon was teamwork. Every man protected the soldier beside him. Each shield overlapped with another. Each formation moved together like parts of one enormous machine. If one soldier broke formation, everyone around him became vulnerable. This is why Roman officers constantly reminded their men of one simple truth: you are never fighting alone. In the Roman army, survival depended on trust. Trust in the soldier beside you, trust in your officers, and trust in the formation itself. The famous Roman shield, known as the scutum, played a crucial role in the system. It wasn't small and round like the shields used by many other armies. It was large, curved, and designed to protect almost the entire body. A legionary could crouch behind it while arrows rained from above. He could push enemies backward using its weight. He could create an unbreakable defensive wall alongside hundreds of fellow soldiers. To an attacking enemy, it looked less like individual warriors, and more like a moving fortress. Rome's greatest victories weren't always won because its soldiers were stronger. They were won because every legionary trusted the man standing beside him. One disciplined unit could defeat a much larger force that lacked organization, and that was only the beginning. Because Rome possessed even greater military secrets, secrets that allowed its armies to survive impossible campaigns, build entire cities overnight, and conquer lands no empire had ever controlled before. Those secrets changed the course of history forever. If discipline was the heart of the Roman army, then organization was its brain. Unlike many ancient armies, Rome didn't simply gather thousands of men and hope they would fight well together. Every soldier had a place, every unit had a purpose, every commander knew exactly who answered to him. Nothing was left to chance. This system transformed ordinary men into one of history's deadliest fighting forces. The backbone of the Roman military was the legion. A single legion usually contained around 5,000 heavily trained soldiers, but it wasn't just one giant crowd of warriors. It was carefully divided into smaller units units. Each unit could fight independently. Each commander understood his responsibilities. Orders traveled quickly through the ranks. Even in the middle of fierce combat, confusion remained surprisingly rare. This level of organization gave Rome an enormous advantage over armies that relied on large, uncontrolled masses of fighters. Inside every legion were smaller groups called centuries. Despite the name, a century didn't always contain exactly 100 men. Most had around 80 soldiers. Each century was commanded by an experienced officer known as a centurion. These men were among the most respected soldiers in the Roman army. Unlike wealthy politicians or noble generals, centurions earned their positions through years of experience. Many had survived countless battles. They understood fear. They understood courage. Most importantly, their soldiers trusted them. A Roman centurion led from the front. He didn't stand safely behind his troops. He marched beside them. He fought beside them. He often became one of the first men to enter battle. Because of this, centurions faced enormous risks. Many died leading charges against enemy lines, yet their courage inspired every soldier under their command. Roman recruits quickly learned that respect wasn't demanded, it was earned. Discipline within the ranks remained incredibly strict. Failure to obey orders carried severe punishments. A soldier caught sleeping while on guard duty could face execution. Running away during battle was considered one of the greatest crimes imaginable. Roman commanders believed that one coward could endanger an entire legion. Harsh punishments may seem cruel today, but they created an army where every soldier understood the consequences of failure. Fear of punishment reinforced loyalty, yet even stronger than fear was pride. Roman soldiers wanted to prove themselves worthy of the eagle. Every legion carried a sacred symbol, the aquila, the golden eagle. It represented the honor of the entire legion. Losing the eagle in battle was considered one of the greatest humiliations Rome could suffer. Soldiers would risk their lives to protect it. Many fought to the death rather than allow it to fall into enemy hands. When a legion marched, the eagle marched first. It became the soul of the army, a reminder that every soldier fought not only for himself but for the glory of Rome. Roman soldiers weren't only warriors, they were builders. This surprised many of Rome's enemies. After marching for an entire day, most armies rested. Roman legions did something completely different. Every evening, they built a fortified camp. No matter where they were, no matter how tired they felt, thousands of soldiers immediately began digging trenches. Others raised wooden walls. Watchtowers appeared. Gates were constructed. Roads inside the camp followed precise measurements. Within only a few hours, an empty field became a secure military fortress. These camps weren't temporary collections of tents. They followed almost identical layouts every single time. Every street had a planned location. Every unit knew exactly where to sleep. Supplies had designated storage areas. Command tents always stood in the center. Even if soldiers arrived after sunset, they could find their places without confusion. This consistency saved valuable time, and during surprise attacks, it saved countless lives. The Roman army also carried tools with them everywhere: shovels, axes, picks, hammers, saws. To outsiders, this seemed strange. Why would soldiers carry construction equipment into battle? Because Roman commanders understood something few others did. Winning wars wasn't only about defeating enemies, it was about controlling the land. Roads had to be built, bridges had to cross rivers, forests had to be cleared, walls had to rise. Every legion became an engineering team capable of reshaping entire landscapes. Many of the roads built by Roman soldiers still exist today. Straight roads stretched across mountains, through forests, across valleys, connecting distant parts of the empire. These roads allowed armies to move faster than ever before. Reinforcements could arrive quickly. Supplies traveled efficiently. Messages spread across thousands of kilometers. Rome wasn't simply building roads, it was building the foundation of an empire. The same engineering skills helped Roman armies cross rivers that seemed impossible to pass. Instead of searching endlessly for safe crossings, they built bridges, sometimes in only a few days. One of the most famous examples came during Julius Caesar's campaigns in Germania. His engineers constructed a massive wooden bridge across the Rhine River. Many tribes believed the river protected them from Roman invasion. Then, almost overnight, a bridge appeared. Roman soldiers crossed, completed their mission, and later dismantled the bridge before leaving. The message was clear: no natural obstacle could stop Rome. Engineering became another weapon, one that terrified Rome's enemies almost as much as its swords, because wherever the Roman army marched, civilization followed. Roads, forts, walls, bridges, cities. The legion didn't merely conquer territory, it transformed it forever. But even the greatest army in history still faced one deadly challenge: how do you survive when surrounded by enemies on every side? In the next part, we'll uncover Rome's most famous battlefield formations, its legendary weapons, and the tactics that turned impossible battles into unforgettable victories. Imagine hearing a Roman war horn echo across the battlefield. Thousands of soldiers immediately stop talking. They tighten their grip on their shields. The front ranks lower their weapons. Officers shout short commands. Within seconds, an entire legion transforms into a perfectly organized wall of steel. No panic, no confusion, only discipline. For Rome, victory wasn't about charging wildly into battle. It was about controlling every movement, every step, every attack, every retreat. That control made the Roman army one of history's most feared fighting forces. A Roman legionary carried surprisingly few weapons, but each one had been carefully designed for a specific purpose. The first was the pilum, a heavy throwing spear unlike any other in the ancient world. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary javelin, but hidden within its design was a brilliant military secret. The long iron shaft was intentionally made to bend after impact. When the pilum struck an enemy shield, it often pierced straight through. Then the iron bent under its own weight. The shield became heavy and almost impossible to use. An enemy soldier now had two terrible choices: carry a useless shield, or throw it away and face Roman swords with no protection at all. Either choice favored Rome. Just moments before the armies collided, hundreds of pila flew through the air at once. The sky seemed filled with iron, shields cracked, wood splintered, men stumbled backward, enemy formations broke apart before swords had even crossed. Only then did the legion move forward. The Roman soldier's main weapon was the gladius. Compared to many ancient swords, it looked surprisingly short, around half a meter in length. Some enemies laughed when they first saw it. They preferred long blades that looked more impressive, but Roman generals understood something important. A sword didn't need to be long, it needed to be deadly. The gladius excelled in close combat, standing shoulder to shoulder behind large shields. Roman soldiers had little room for wide swings. Instead, they thrust quickly through openings in the enemy line. A single stab to the stomach or chest could end a fight instantly. Fast, precise, efficient. Roman recruits practiced the same movement thousands of times. Shield forward, small step, quick thrust, pull back, repeat, again, again, again. Eventually, the motion became instinct. Even under extreme pressure, their bodies reacted automatically. That relentless training often made the difference between life and death. But perhaps the greatest Roman weapon wasn't made of iron, it was the shield itself. The large curved scutum protected nearly the entire body. When hundreds of shields locked together, the legion became incredibly difficult to break. Enemies struck wood instead of flesh. Spears bounced away. Arrows found almost no openings. Each soldier defended not only himself, but also the men beside him. That unity made the formation incredibly strong. One of Rome's most famous defensive tactics became legendary. It was called the testudo, the tortoise. When arrows rained from above, the soldiers on the front raised their shields. Those on the sides covered the flanks. The men in the center lifted their shields overhead. From a distance, the entire unit resembled a giant turtle shell moving slowly across the battlefield. Arrows struck harmlessly against layers of wood. Stones crashed down. Even burning projectiles often failed to stop them. The formation allowed Roman soldiers to approach city walls while remaining protected. Although slow, it was remarkably effective during sieges. To frighten defenders watching from above, it seemed almost impossible to stop. Roman battle formations constantly adapted. If the enemy attacked from one direction, the legion shifted. If cavalry threatened the flanks, the lines adjusted. Officers communicated using flags, trumpets, and horns. Even in the chaos of battle, soldiers understood exactly what each signal meant. Communication saved lives. A delayed order could destroy an army. A clear order could win an empire. Rome also mastered the art of rotation. During intense fighting, the soldiers in the front rank eventually became exhausted. Instead of fighting until they collapsed, fresh troops quietly moved forward. The tired men stepped back through the formation. The enemy suddenly faced rested soldiers, while their own warriors grew weaker with every passing minute. Hour after hour, the Romans maintained their strength. This simple tactic wore down opponents who expected the front line to remain the same. It was another example of Rome fighting smarter, not harder. The Roman army also understood the power of psychology. Before battle, the disciplined advance of thousands of synchronized soldiers often frightened enemies before the fighting even began. Bright armor reflected the sunlight. Standards carrying the golden eagle stood proudly above the ranks. War horns echoed across valleys. Drums matched the rhythm of marching feet. Everything was designed to project confidence, to convince the enemy that resistance was hopeless. Sometimes, fear won battles before swords were ever drawn. But Rome wasn't invincible. There were moments when even the greatest army on earth suffered devastating defeats. Entire legions disappeared. Thousands of soldiers died. Generals made terrible mistakes. Yet unlike many civilizations, Rome refused to be broken. Every defeat became a lesson. Every disaster became an opportunity to improve. That ability to learn, rather than surrender, may have been the Roman army's greatest secret of all. In the final part, we'll discover the harsh life of a Roman soldier, the rewards they earned after years of service, and why the legacy of Rome's military still influences modern armies nearly 2,000 years later. Behind every Roman victory, behind every conquered kingdom, behind every legendary battlefield, was a soldier who sacrificed years of his life for Rome. History often remembers the great generals, Julius Caesar, Augustus, Scipio, Trajan, but empires are not built by leaders alone. They are built by ordinary men who carried extraordinary burdens. To become a Roman legionary was not simply to join an army. It meant giving your youth, your strength, and sometimes your life to the Republic or later, the Empire. A Roman soldier's day began long before sunrise. As the first light touched the horizon, trumpets echoed through the camp. Within minutes, thousands of men were awake. Armor was checked, weapons were inspected, the camp was cleaned, guard posts were changed. Breakfast was simple, usually bread, porridge, cheese, olives, or dried meat. There was no luxury, only routine, because routine created discipline, and discipline created victory. Marching was one of the hardest parts of military life. Many people imagine Roman soldiers spending most of their time fighting. The truth was very different. Most days, they simply walked, sometimes 20 kilometers, sometimes 30, sometimes even more, all while carrying armor, weapons, food, tools, cooking equipment, spare clothing, and construction supplies. Their total load could exceed 40 kilograms. The Romans even gave their soldiers a nickname. They called them Marius mules. The name came from the famous general Gaius Marius, who required his soldiers to carry much of their own equipment. Some complained, but the result was an army that depended less on slow supply wagons and could move faster than almost any enemy. Every legionary became both soldier and pack animal. Food was another challenge. Roman soldiers couldn't rely on fresh meals every day. Instead, they carried grain with them. Every evening, they ground the grain into flour by hand. They baked simple bread over open fires. Sometimes they ate salted pork, sometimes cheese, sometimes beans or lentils. Fresh vegetables were welcome whenever they could find them. Wine mixed with water was the most common drink. It wasn't luxury dining. It was fuel for survival. Disease often proved more dangerous than enemy swords. Crowded camps, long campaigns, dirty water, cold winters, hot summers. A single illness could spread through thousands of soldiers. Roman commanders gradually realized something important. Clean camps saved lives. Waste had to be buried. Water sources had to be protected. Camp streets had to remain organized. organized. These practices seem obvious today, but in the ancient world, they gave Roman armies a major advantage. Many enemies lost more men to disease than to battle. Rome fought both. Life on campaign was filled with uncertainty. 1 week a soldier might be building a bridge, the next crossing snow-covered mountains, then sailing across dangerous seas, or marching through scorching deserts. The Roman Empire stretched across 3 continents. Its soldiers experienced almost every climate on earth. Some never saw their homes again. Years could pass without returning to their families. Many children grew up while their fathers served far away on Rome's frontiers. The price of empire was paid by ordinary families. Despite the hardships, there were rewards. Roman soldiers received regular pay. It wasn't enormous, but it was steady. Successful campaigns sometimes brought bonuses from victorious generals. Captured treasure could also be shared among the troops. A successful war could change a poor man's life forever. More importantly, after completing their years of service, many legionaries received land or financial rewards. For countless young Romans, military service became a path toward a better future. Veterans played a crucial role in expanding Rome. After retirement, many settled in newly conquered provinces. They established farms, built towns, started families, spread Roman customs. They carried the Latin language, Roman law, and Roman traditions wherever they settled. In this way, the army didn't just conquer territory, it helped transform it into part of Rome itself. Many famous European cities began as Roman military camps before growing into thriving communities. The soldiers unknowingly shaped the map of the modern world. Of course, not every campaign ended in triumph. One of Rome's darkest moments came in 980. Deep within the forests of Germania, 3 Roman legions marched under the command of Publius Quinctilius Varus. Confident in Rome's strength, they entered unfamiliar terrain, but hidden among the trees, Germanic tribes led by Arminius had prepared a deadly ambush. Rain turned the roads to mud. The dense forest broke apart the Roman formations. Long supply lines became impossible to protect. For 3 terrifying days, the legions fought desperately. One by one, they were destroyed. Nearly 20,000 Roman soldiers lost their lives. The sacred eagles of 3 legions were captured. It was one of the greatest disasters in Roman history. When Emperor Augustus received the news, historians say he cried out, "Quinctilius Varus, give me back my legions." The defeat shocked Rome, but it also proved something remarkable. Even after suffering such a catastrophic loss, the Roman army survived. It rebuilt, it reorganized, and it remained the dominant military force of the ancient world for centuries. The greatest secret of the Roman army was never a single weapon, or a single general. It was its ability to adapt. Every defeat became a lesson. Every victory became experience. Every generation improved upon the last. That relentless pursuit of excellence allowed Rome to build an empire unlike any the world had ever seen. Even today, modern armies still study Roman leadership, Roman logistics, Roman engineering, and Roman discipline. Nearly 2,000 years have passed. The empire is gone. Its legions no longer march across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Yet the lessons they left behind continue to shape military strategy around the world. The Roman army didn't simply conquer nations. It changed the history of civilization forever.